This is Dr. Rodriguez, Psych 101. It's Chapter 10, looking at emotions and motivation. We're continuing on with what motivates sexual behavior. So what brain and hormones are involved? The hypothalamus plays a role in motivating sexual behavior. And the hormones of androgen, which testosterone is one of those androgens, and estrogen. Now, both men and women have both of these, but just of differing degrees. When we're talking about sexual behavior, there's some names that will come to mind in terms of sexual research that's very well known. Kinsey, they did this large-scale survey in the late 40s. One of the first ones that really looked at sexual behavior, especially this large scale. A lot of people answered questions about sexuality, and what they realized is that sexual diversity was way more common than they thought. People were reporting homosexual, bisexuality, they were reporting that more than what it seemed to be without the self-reports. So there is some criticism with Kinsey's research that there were some sampling and some statistics errors. So you need to take that into consideration. But Kinsey's research really did help to shape future sex research, as well as kind of get this conversation about sexual diversity going more. It became a little bit more accepted when the numbers were there to support that this isn't, so abnormal as we as people thought in the 40s. Now, Masters and Johnson, they didn't do surveys like Kinsey did. They did observational studies of people masturbating, of them having sex. And so Masters and Johnson, they recorded the physiological sexual response, and they plotted out this sexual response cycle for men and women. And there's this excitement, this getting turned on, this arousal, this plateau of feel good, this orgasm and resolution, and then this refractory period of the time that it'll take before you can get excited again. Now, they found that women can have multiple orgasms, and there's some variation in these stages, but it helped people to understand the sexual response cycle and gave us the words to be able to start, diagnosing sexual dysfunction. So let's go over these terms related to sex and gender and sexual orientation. Okay, when we talk about sex, it's in general, everyday society, sex means, having intercourse, right? But in psychology, when we're talking about sex, we're often talking about our primary sex characteristics, having a penis or a vagina, being male or female, this chromosomal aspect of us. Do we have this X, or do we have an XX chromosome or XY chromosomes? So that's what sex refers to, as these parts that you use to have sex. That's what generally has meant. It means male or female, what you're born with. Now, there are some people that are born with not clearly delineated penis or vagina, or there can be a combination of, chromosomes being XY, but having more of on the external female genitalia. So that term is called intersex. When it's not really male or female, it can be this, there's more than two sexes. It's not just male or female. There's this intersex. A lot goes into determining the sex of somebody, and I'll include in the video, this one video that talks about sex and gender and sexual orientation, and there's a lot that goes into all this. So intersex is that not clearly delineated male or female, and the outdated term for that was hermaphrodite. Today, the correct word is intersex, and that's part of the LGBTQI, is that intersex. So the I refers to the sex part, penis, vagina, or, or another form of sex. Now, gender refers to being male or female, being a boy or girl, or being feminine or masculine. This is what are these social roles, like what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to act, that we get assigned, these roles, these social roles that we get assigned when we are infants, when they see on a sonogram that there's a penis or a vagina, or when a baby's born and there's a penis or a vagina. We assign this gender. So, if there's a penis, there's this social expectation that you're supposed to be manly, masculine, and if you have a vagina, you're supposed to be a woman, and I'm air quoting here, and feminine. When in reality, sex is distinct from gender. Gender identity is more this feeling. Or do you feel more comfortable when you dress as society would say is feminine, or act feminine? Again, all of these air quotes, because what is meant as feminine and masculine is a social construct that has changed throughout history. So there are some people that are non-binary. Maybe they, don't identify as being really feminine or really masculine, or they don't go along with their assigned gender. So that's transgender. When somebody maybe is born with a penis, there's this expectation that they're supposed to be manly, masculine, supposed to, dress a certain way, act a certain way, but their gender identity, how they feel in their head, does not go along with it. They feel society should treat them as they feel, as they identify. And so they can experience transgender. So trans meaning changing gender, is the gender that is not assigned to you at birth because you have a penis or vagina. There's this term in the DSM called gender dysphoria. Dysphoria means an unease or dissatisfaction. Now, being transgender and getting diagnosed with gender dysphoria does not mean you are disordered, okay? It just means that you have this stress in your life because you either have to live as a lie, you have to live outwardly as maybe a man when you feel like a woman, or you are living transgender and society isn't being very accepting. So it's this gender dysphoria. You do not identify as the gender that others have assigned to you based on your sex. It's not a disorder, but it's a label that can be used for diagnosing so that insurance will cover counseling or maybe cover services related to their transition. So gender dysphoria is the DSM term, but it doesn't mean that it's a disorder. Cisgender, you might hear that term, and what that means is that your gender is in alignment with what you were assigned at birth. So, if you have a vagina, you identify as being a woman. Sexual orientation is different than your sex, is different than your gender. Sexual orientation refers to this emotional or romantic or erotic attraction. Who are you attracted to? Who do you want to have a relationship with? Who do you want to have sex with? Who do you just feel close with and get excited about? Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, pansexual means I don't care what somebody's body parts are. You're going to work with their body parts because you like them as a person. You like their personality. Asexual means that it's a person that just really doesn't feel sexual. They don't have sexual desires. They might masturbate or they might have sex, but it's not because it's something that, that they feel they need to do or that they're driven to. They're just asexual. Now, sexual orientation research has suggested that it's not choice, that there is a biological component. So different studies have found that genes are involved, that brain structures are involved, hormones. So there's biological components to sexual orientation. And I'll include a video that looks at these biological components. A lot of twin research studies have or twin studies have shown and contributed to this notion that sexual orientation is not just is not a choice, it is biology. And so what they do is, in the general population, homosexuality is about 5 to 10%. 5 to 10% of people are identify as not heterosexual. Now, when one sibling is homosexual, the concordance rate, the likelihood that another sibling will also be homosexual, is 25. So that's more than the general population. Now, when it's an identical twin, an identical sibling, when their DNA is exactly the same, the concordance rate, the likelihood that the other identical twin will be homosexual is 50%. So that's way higher than the general population. So that leads us to believe that there's something genetic going on there, because the more genetically alike you are, the more alike your sexuality will be. All right, let's go and look at emotions. Emotions are the subjective state of being. It's how we feel. Are we scared? Are we happy? Are we feeling joyous? So it's like just this subjective state. It's how the person is feeling. And different psychologists, they feel that, or they have done research, or they have described emotions coming from these various components. Emotions have a physical aspect to it. There's physical arousal. It's our autonomic nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system. Remember, sympathetic nervous system is that surprise, scared. It's our heart beating really fast. It's our feeling like we're going to pee our pants. It's sweating. It's that physical arousal. So when we're scared, our sympathetic nervous system tells our heart to start beating fast, tells us to, have adrenaline be released. So there's that physical arousal aspect of emotions. There's this cognitive or thought aspect, this, oh no, this means danger. So there's the thoughts surrounding emotions, and then there's that actual emotions, that subjective, that I am feeling scared, that happy or sad feeling. So our body responds, we think about it, and then we also feel it. Or we can consciously say that we are feeling a certain emotion. So there are different theories of emotions that, I realize I spelled that wrong. So there are different theories of emotions that put these different aspects. They say that, wait, first this happens, and then we feel emotion. So these are just the different theories that say this happens first, then this happens first, and then this happens first. So the James Lange theory says that our body lets us know that we're scared. So you see a dog, then you start sweating, your heart beats, and then you're like, oh, okay, my body is reacting like this, so I must be scared. So the way that I remember this is, I think James was lounging. Okay, he was just laying back, relaxing. This dog comes walking up. If he doesn't see it, if his body doesn't respond, then he's not scared. All right, so James was just lounging, so his body didn't tell him that he was supposed to be scared. Our body has to respond before we feel scared. That's a James Lange theory. The Cannon-Bard theory says that we have our body responds and we feel fear at the same time. It happens at the same time. It's not our body first and then we think that we're scared. It happens at the same time. So like the way that I remember this is Cannon-Bard. When a cannon goes off, you're not thinking, oh gee, I'm scared. You jump, right? And you get startled. That's our body. And we feel scared at the same time. That happens at the same time. When a cannon goes off, you're not thinking, oh gee, I'm scared because I am startled. You jump up, you get startled, your heart starts racing, and you know you're scared at the same time. So the Cannon-Bard says that this body and feeling happens at the same time. The Schaefer-Singer says that there's two factors involved, that our body, our body starts sweating, and we think, oh shit, we should feel scared. That happens at the same time. So you need this sweating, our body, and thinking, oh shit, before we feel scared. So when I see this, the Schaefer-Singer, I think, oh, those two S's, these two S's need to happen together before we feel scared. We start sweating, we think, oh shit. So these two S's, then we feel scared. So a whole bunch of S's here. We start sweating, we say, oh shit. And then we feel scared. That all happens at the same time, all these S's happening. Facial feedback says that if our face is smiling, we feel happy. There's the straw experiment. I'll see if I can find a video to talk about that.